Hey, thanks for tuning in to today's video where we're going to tackle a common problem that we find on a JK. So what happens a lot of times on these JKs is there's a tension cable that runs right along the edge that has a tendency to break. And the purpose of that cable is to keep this flap down tight as you're riding along. And as you can see on this one, it's broken. Let's go to the other side. As you can see on this side, the tension cable is tight and still working. It's hard for me to get my thumb up under there. And that's the way it should be. That keeps it tight against the frame of the top so that it doesn't flap and it keeps water out. After folding your soft top back, remove the foam weather stripping with a putty knife. The foam won't come off in one piece, so you will likely have to scrub it off with your finger. This will expose the Phillips head screws that hold the plastic flap and metal end plate that secure the tension cable to the outer front edge of the soft top. Now these screws can be removed. We purchased the JK replacement tension cable from Mopar, part number 68067961AB, that includes the tension cable with the spring and end plate, the 2 replacement screws, 1 piece of foam weather stripping, and a fabric guide tube, which we chose not to use because we chose to retain the original plastic guide tube. You may or may not choose to purchase this part kit from Mopar. At the end of this video, I will discuss some alternative methods for fixing this problem without purchasing the OEM part. This part cost us between $80 and $90. So one end of the cable you've already seen is right here, and the other end comes down through this, and actually you can see right there is where it's broken, and it should go through this where my finger is, come through here, and then go into this little channel, little tube type channel right here, and into this spring, and the other end of that cable is sticking out right there. There's a little stop. So what we've got to do is fish the new cable. We'll probably tape it to this one and pull it through. I think that's probably the easiest way, and then we'll dig further into here to get this out. All right, so here's our new part from Mopar. And we're going to fish this through. If yours didn't break this far back, we got lucky because ours broke far enough back that all we have to do is start right here. So let's just pause a minute to soak up the irony of what is about to happen here. The old cable broke very close to the end. So had I taped the front of the new part securely to the end of the old broken cable, this would have been one nice quick fix. But instead, I taped it what turned out to be not very well. So when I pulled the old cable through, the new cable got near the end and then the tape let loose, meaning we would have to find an alternative means to get the new cable routed correctly. So here we decided to leave a sped up version of our screw up in the video just for your enjoyment. So we decided to take 2 thin gauge metal coat hangers, straighten them out, and hook them together and tape them to the front of the new part to fish it through the fabric channels on the soft top. So right here we have where you have a couple choices of the way to do this. This guide tube right here that houses your spring does not have a lot of flexibility in it. Doesn't have enough flexibility the way it's mounted to be able to change the spring very easily without either splitting this or drilling the rivets out. So we put a towel here to catch the metal shavings so they don't get on the paint. And we're just going to drill these rivets out. What I've got here is a metal step bit. You could use any kind of drill bit that has a tip like this. After drilling out the front of the rivets, use a pair of vice grips to pull the back of the rivets out of the frame plate. So this is that guide tube for the tensioner spring, and what some people do, rather than drilling out the rivets, is they'll take a razor knife and cut right along here, which frees the spring up enough to be able to remove it. Attachment of the new spring can be accomplished easily by hand because we drilled the rivets out and removed the plastic guide tube. Next, you're going to want to get some number 6 or number 8 by 1.5" bolts and install them through the holes the rivets were in the guide tube and frame plate. Then use a socket wrench and needle nose pliers to tighten the bolts to the nuts. So you can see what happened here. The replacement screw is bigger. The original screw is small because probably what happened to me right here happened to them. This pulls through. So Jeep or Mopar made the next part bigger. If you didn't order the Mopar kit, what you can do is put a washer under this to give it more chance of not pulling through. So that fixed our problem. That's much tighter now, and it'll be a much quieter ride, and it'll be more likely to keep the inside of the Jeep dry. And that's a pretty easy fix for that. Thanks for watching today's video. I hope you got some value out of it. If you did, hit the like button and consider subscribing to our channel, DIY Skills Nation, where we bring you one video a week about different DIY skills. So there are definitely cheaper and perhaps easier ways to fix the problem of a broken tension cable. First, a lot of these cables don't so much break as the ferrule on the, or stop on the end of the cable just comes unattached from the cable. That ferrule is within the spring, towards the end of the spring, and you are going to have to remove the spring in order to be able to get to the ferrule. But it's just a simple matter of going to your local hardware store and purchasing a new ferrule or stop, and then with either a vise or a pair of channel locks, squeezing that new ferrule or stop tightly onto the end of the cable again.